Hi, everybody. It's Michelle Hill, your legacy builder at Winning Proof, and I am here with another episode of Winning Proof Unscripted. And I am so excited today because I have Annie Cole, Dr. Annie Cole. I'm so sorry, Dr. Annie Cole.
No
I know
problem.
you worked hard for that title and those initials, believe me. So, I'm going to read her bio because I was just telling her it's so well stated that I'm going to read her bio and then we'll just jump into a conversation.
Perfect.
Dr. Annie Cole is an expert money coach and financial educator who teaches women how to master all areas of their finances, from budgeting and paying off debt to investing, building wealth, and retiring early. In her 20s, Annie was a burnt out social worker struggling on a $26,000 a year salary. By her 30s, she had climbed the ladder to a vice president role, invested over $300,000, owned $1 million in real estate, and cut 20 years off of her retirement date. She now runs her own coaching business, Money Essentials for Women, and inspires women to step into new levels of money mastery and confidence. And if that's not a mouthful and a life full of stuff, that is incredible. So, welcome, Annie. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. As you'll learn from my story, I'm just so passionate about helping everyone master their finances. There are so many just tips and tricks out there that I think a lot of people aren't taught in school and in their young lives. So I'm excited to be hopefully a resource for folks.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I promoted this episode on my social media channels, as we were just talking as well, I said, I have struggled with this area for years and years, and I'm so much better than I used to be, but I'm still kind of there. So I'm guessing some other people listening to this have the same maybe scarcity mindset. How do I
Yes.
do this or that? Maybe they're getting their financial advice from TikTok videos, just stuff like that. So let's start off by I want to ask you what inspired you originally to start Money Essentials for Women? Because I know your story, the 26-year-old, but tell a little bit of that journey so we know the whole story.
Yeah, sure. Well, I can say there were a couple really pivotal moments for me. So, when I was in my 20s, I had gotten my bachelor's, I had gotten that first job, I wasn't making very much money. And there was a pivotal moment where I decided, I don't think this is the career path for me. I want to make a switch. So, that's when I actually went back to school, got my master's, got my doctorate, went in a whole different direction, and went and continued to grow up the career ladder. So, that was a big moment for me. And then as I continued to climb the ladder, I was finding myself negotiating salary, negotiating promotions, trying to figure out how to be a leader, and then making enough money to then think, okay, how can I start investing?
Yeah.
How can I create a great budget? And all of these things came up, and I realized I had never been taught them in school. I was talking with friends about all of these topics, and some friends knew a little bit, but honestly, a lot of us didn't know a lot. So I started reading books, following coaches and mentors online and working with financial advisors. And as I started to learn how to truly build wealth, I thought I need to teach other people about this. This is not common knowledge and more women need to know. So that's what inspired me to start this business.
That is so awesome because no, we're not taught in school to manage anything. You're taught might have an economics class where you're
Yeah.
learning stuff that you will never have to use ever again in your whole life, maybe, but you're not learning to balance checkbooks, the smart investing, all that. So,
Hmm.
did you come to a specific point when you said enough is enough? Like, what was that point that something clicked inside you? Because I know usually as women, it just once we have that click, our life is different. We're not going back. So, what was
Yep.
yours?
Mine actually, instead of, there are those, I've definitely had moments where I was at a bottom and hit a hard spot and turned it around. But actually, my big moment for finance was a high spot. So, my inspiration was a couple of years ago. I had been promoted, I was making six figures, and I realized I had enough money to really start investing more. So, I played around with the calculator and I thought I can maybe retire a couple years early. And then I kept challenging myself and I spent about an hour playing around with this calculator. And I said, well, what about this? What about this? Finally realized I could get it down to retiring in my 40s if I was aggressive investing. And I thought, no, I've met with retirement planners for years. No one has ever challenged me to see what I could do with my retirement portfolio in this way. So that was the moment for me when I realized what's possible by investing a little bit and investing early, that I just thought I need to teach more women about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of women, they just don't know about finances because many, especially from my generation, they just let their husbands. I didn't because I was better at it. But they just their husbands do everything. They keep
Mm-hmm.
they keep the books. They know where all the money is, and they get maybe even give their wife an allowance.
Mm-hmm.
And the wife is just clueless on what to do,
Yeah.
how to do anything financially. So is that kind of your target market, or do you have across the board young, middle, mature, as I like to say?
Yeah, I mean, I find clients are coming in from all age ranges. We have women who are in their 20s and just starting out, and then we have women who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s trying to figure out their retirement plans and their investment strategy later on in life or even their career pivots. So it's really across the gamut, but I would say, to your point, there are a lot of women who are trying to figure out their finances with a partner, and either their partner does take care of everything for them when it comes to their finances and they don't know anything, or they don't know how to navigate sharing finances with a partner. And one thing I would say that I'm a huge advocate for is there is no one way to do it correctly. I
Mm.
think partners figure out what to do, whether you share all of your money in the same account, you have separate accounts, you're planning everything together or some pieces separately. There's so many ways to go about it. But yeah, if you have a partner who's running everything for your finances, the best thing you can do is just ask questions and be a part of the process. So even if your husband is managing everything, know where the accounts are, know the logins and the passwords, know what's in your account balance. So at minimum, if anything happened, you would know how to access that money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Point well taken. And why do you think so many, and we'll keep the topic on women, why do you think so many women are so afraid of tackling the financial world? Because, I tell people, hey, I'm a writer. I'm not a numbers person. And that
Yeah.
does not excuse me from knowing about finances. So what do you think
Yeah.
is the key fear that keeps women from wanting to know more or wanting to navigate that world?
I think it's just a scary topic and there's a lot of room for error and people don't want to mess it up. I would also say finance is kind of boring. Honestly, it's not like who wants to sit down and talk about taxes? I do, but that's because I am the tax finance nerd who wants to look at all of that information and then share it with you. Most people do not want to spend much time talking about finances or learning about it. And that is fine. If that's you, you should get a coach, an advisor, or someone who is your go to person who loves this kind of stuff and can be your advocate and can teach you what to do with your money so that you can truly build wealth and reach freedom. But yeah, I think that it's very complicated. Also, my background's in education, and a lot of people coming out of high school have, our English and our math scores are very, very low. There's not a lot of proficiency in math. So calculation is not, a lot of people don't want to run their own calculations and crunch numbers. It's intimidating.
Yeah, it can be, especially if you approach it knowing that your net worth is way, way, way in the negative, and
Yeah.
you already know that going forth, and just like, you know what, this is a losing battle. I don't even want to deal with it because I know what the outcome's going to look like. So why,
Yeah.
I just like don't. don't even do it. What do you say to those people?
I've worked with women who are in lots and lots of debt. And what I would say is, I want to help you get to a point where you have a plan that is so automated and running in the background that you actually don't have to worry about your finances anymore. Because let's say, for example, you have $30,000 in credit card debt. We can come up with a plan of how much you need to make on a minimum payment every single month. We'll look at your budget. We'll talk about how to increase your income if needed. We'll set up the automated payments. And then, as long as you are letting those payments go, live the rest of your life and enjoy it. I don't want you to be obsessing or fearing. And if you are someone who is just laying in bed at night and you don't have a plan and you're worried about how to do it, once you have a plan in place, you will feel so much relief because it just runs in the background. So, as much as I love talking about finances with people, I think it should be something that we talk about a little bit and then
Yeah.
it's running in the background for you while you live your life.
Yeah, and I don't think people know about those tools to make it run in the background,
Yeah.
because it's kind of word of mouth, like, oh yeah, I know this app, and oh yeah, I know this program, and it's just kind of word of mouth, but what works for one person might not work for another person. So do you equip your clients with the tools, the personalized tools that you think would match their personality? I don't think personality, but their uh, mindset.
Yeah. So as I said, I am a data analyst by trade. I work in spreadsheets, I crunch numbers. So I usually will use some sort of a spreadsheet to work with my clients and talk them through how to create a budget, how to understand your debt payoffs. But I also have a long list of budgeting apps. I know some clients prefer to use a budgeting app. On the very simple side, I will encourage some people to just write down pen and paper what they're working on. So there's lots and lots of different ways you can approach it. And it's definitely not one size fits all. It's whatever works for you.
Oh, that's so great. So great. And so I have a scenario and I want you to kind of describe how you would approach it. You don't have to go into, great detail because that's what you do for your clients. But say, and I hear calls like this on Ramsey all the time, and that's why I'm asking it, is say you have a woman who is in her 60s. She has some debt. She doesn't know too much about money. She doesn't know about financing. She doesn't say she's disabled, maybe. Maybe she has health problems or something that prevent her from going out there and working three jobs and things like that. And she feels hopeless. How would you first approach someone like that? And do you have clients coming to you as a last ditch effort? Like, I'm hopeless. I don't think I'll ever crawl out of this.
Mm, yeah, I haven't had clients in that exact scenario, but I have had clients that have a lot of those pieces, whether it's I am disabled and I have a medical issue and I can barely make ends meet because I'm paying my medical bills and I'm in debt and I don't have a lot in retirement. I think the biggest thing that I usually talk about when I first meet with clients is that there is hope and we can work through this because um there's always something you can do. There are so many social benefit programs out there, whether you need food stamps or you need disability income. There's a lot of things we can do to try to get you income based on what you qualify for. And then from there, looking at your budget, if there are things we can cut out, how can we make your expenses as slim as possible? Are there other things that we can get you to do? If you can't physically go out and work, is there something you could do virtually from home? There's just a lot of different pieces we can start exploring. But I always start with the hope piece because I think money is emotional and it's scary. So before we get into the how, we really need to set kind of like a peaceful start. So people feel like, okay, I feel okay. I'm willing to now look into the strategies.
Oh boy, yeah, that's so it is so emotional because
Yeah.
a lot of times people's scarcity mindset or people's women's, and I'll keep dialing it back down to that, women's money mindsets are based in and from childhood. They were
Hmm.
told money doesn't grow on trees. They were told all the basic stuff that we've all, heard. And it just they just think that if they spend money, that they're never going to make another dime. That if they spend
Yeah.
that money, that's the last time they're ever going to see money. And I think that creates a panic and fear in women. What
Hmm.
would you, yeah, speak to that?
Yeah, I think have been in that place, especially when you have limited income and your expenses are, you're barely able to cover your expenses. It feels extremely scary. And
Mhm.
I would say, just because I also have a degree in psychology, that is deeply rooted in our who we are as humans. I would say it's normal. It is normal if you barely have enough to cover resources to cover your needs. It's normal to feel that fear. And that's why for my company, I do one-on-one coaching, but I also have a directory of coaches that help cover anything from debt payoff to getting promoted, getting a better job. So I feel like the people that are in that spot, if you're really struggling, the best thing you can probably do next is work on increasing your income, because you have two levers. You can either reduce your expenses or increase your income. And even it does not matter what your background is, what your degree is, there are always ways that we can help you search for a job that's going to pay a little bit more and increase that income. So that's what I would probably focus on with the client in that position.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because the people that come to you, women that come to you in that state, they need one doable step, the hope
Yeah.
that you talked about, and then one doable step. Can you make a list of your bills by the end of this day? Or
Yep.
can you list your debtors by the end of this day? Things
Yep.
like that. And so I think that doable part is really helpful. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think I really love that you said you have a degree in psychology too. Does it come in handy with when dealing with money mindset? Because
Yes.
it is so, I mean, it has such deep psychological roots.
Yes. So in my book, I just released my first book this year, 101 Ways to Build Wealth in Your 30s. And even though I focus in on the 30s, it really does apply to any gender, any level of life. But the book is organized in 5 chapters, and money mindset is actually the first chapter, because I think too many of us focus on either creating a budget, but the budget, we're consumers, we just spend a lot, we feel like we're just running this rat race cycle every single day, or we focus on getting another job, but we're overspending, so we don't feel happy. So when you start with mindset and really having a vision and understanding what you want money to do for you, it changes everything about how you budget, how you create income, what jobs you take on. And so the psychology piece there, I pulled a lot of research into the book to talk about what psychology says, whether that's shame around money or I think you mentioned imposter syndrome and feeling like you're not worth more money, so you don't advocate for yourself. There's so many pieces where money mindset influences your behaviors.
That's so true. And I just finished reading Overcoming Under Earning by Barbara Stanny and
Mm,
found that book so, so helpful because I did every single exercise in it, but a lot of it was tackling the childhood, the growing up, the childhood,
yeah.
adolescent, and even adulthood mindsets around what you believe. Because if you can crash and conquer what you believe and kind of I don't know, demystify it, then
Mhm.
you can do the practical parts.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep. And if
Yeah.
you don't do the mindset work, let's say, just for example, I share a story a lot where I was searching for a job at one point. I was making $30,000. I went on Indeed. Set the filter to $35,000 to $40,000. I thought that's a reasonable raise. And then I asked myself, what if I thought bigger of myself? What if I only looked for $60,000 jobs? And I did. And then I applied and got a $60,000 job. So that's just one tangible example of, if you believe something is possible, you will go do it. If you don't have that belief, you'll just never act on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully believe that. And let's backtrack just a little bit. When you were in that $26,000 a year job and in your 20s and unsatisfied, obviously, because you wanted more,
Yeah.
did you like, I don't know how to ask this. did you think that, like, in your transition of the $1 million investing in the $300,000 investing and the $1 million in real estate, did your mindset change to, did you become all proud and, haughty, or did
Mm,
you come from a point of, I've been here, I understand this, and you know what I mean? Because some people, I don't see you as like that whatsoever, so I'm not saying that. But
yeah.
yeah, how did your mindset adjust based on that? Because a lot of people would say, oh, smell me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have that demeanor at all.
I definitely do not feel that way. And it's been interesting. Talk about mindset. I was raised to never tout yourself or talk about your accomplishments. So I definitely have downplayed myself for many years of my life. And then when I launched my business, I felt extremely nervous to share some of those details. Like, here's what my finances look like. Here's how much I've invested. Here's my story and the nitty-gritty details of it. But I felt like it was so important to do because I want women to not only see an example of what the numbers really can be, but also hopefully inspire transparency. Because I think if we don't talk to our friends normally about what our salary is. And if we did and we realized one of our friends was being underpaid, we might support them and advocate for them in different ways. So I know some money topics are best kept private and within family and friends, but there are some times when it's good to actually share those things. So hopefully it inspires others to feel at least a little more comfortable sharing what some of their numbers are.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think there is definitely, I sometimes I call it there's strength in the stench.
Yeah. Yeah.
The stench of, oh, this is private. You're not supposed to talk about your finances with other people. But
Yes.
there's strength when you find those strong women who are past all the games and past all the pride and past all the ego,
Yeah.
then you have some incredible allies on your side. So, do you tell women to just find your tribe, find your team that of supporters while they're going through this journey with you?
Yeah, actually, in my online course, there is a section on building out your team. And so on the very low end, let's say you're listening to this, you're thinking, I want to build out my team. The low hanging fruit is to read books and follow people on social media. It's so easy. Find role models. You don't have to personally connect with them. You can just follow them and let their words inspire you. And then as you move up the ranks, friends and family members, talking to people that you trust about finances and then your financial team. And that can be a range of people, financial advisors, retirement and investment advisors, wealth advisors, all kinds of different people that can help you depending on what you need. So, yeah, building out a team is so important because otherwise doing it alone it's not as much fun and then you won't get the support you need.
No, absolutely. And it is, as a solopreneur now, I have a part-time income stream. So I have that and a little tiniest Social Security, which I couldn't wait to get. It was so
Yeah.
exciting. I stayed home with my kids for most of the time I was married. And so I didn't have some big fat 401k. So when I had to start over,
Yeah.
I think at 43, with the clothes on my back and some kitchen stuff and no alimony, no nothing. I mean, I had to hit the ground running, and it was just it was a challenge, I would say, but I didn't have a team, and now as a solopreneur, like, I want you to kind of speak to that, because when I didn't have my number three income stream, I
Yeah.
was by myself all day, every day, which I really appreciated. I loved my autonomy, but you just feel like, oh, yeah, I got to do this, program, and then I got to do this, and I'll just make an Excel spreadsheet. And it just, all these things, and tax time, don't even talk about
Hmm.
that. But I
Hmm.
just felt like so overwhelmed. So, can you speak to the solopreneur women out there and just kind of give them some encouragement on what to?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Being someone who transitioned to being a solopreneur this year, I would say, don't be afraid to reach out and build your network. And other coaches I personally have found on social media, on LinkedIn, I reach out to people all the time. I will either offer to collaborate with them. If I like what they're doing, I'll just say, hey, do you want to exchange blog posts? Do you want to a podcast guest? Can we just meet up and talk about our passions? That's a great way to feel like you belong to a community. Even if you don't end up doing anything with those people, you're building your connections. But do find the people that you actually talk about your business with. So whether that is a business coach, a career coach, your best friend, your partner, at least one person, and ideally a few people that you can bounce ideas off of. And if as your business grows, if you have vendor relationships, making a relationship with your marketing person or a PR person, those people can be really, really great too in certain seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just love what you said about just get, at least one person. Just at least one
Yeah.
person. Don't try to do everything by yourself. And you want to rely on other zones of genius out there. If that's an area of high stress for you and you feel your shoulders going up and you feel the stress coming on, that's
Yeah.
probably not something you should tackle. Let somebody who lives for numbers do
Yeah.
that, you know?
Exactly. Yep. And it can be, I'll just say too, it can be extremely affordable. A lot of people are hesitant to think, well, do I want to go pay for someone to help me do all this? And I would say the top two are number one, do I need a CPA? Do I need someone to actually help me with my taxes, or can I do TurboTax for the rest of my life? If it's getting a little complicated, I highly advocate to just pay the CPA. It might cost you a few $1,000s to have them file your taxes, but they will be available to answer your questions throughout the year. And usually that's at no cost. And they will usually save you thousands on your taxes anyway. So that's a really important one. And then hiring a coach. If you need coaching support, most of the time you can do a one-off hour-long call with the coach for anywhere from $100 to a couple $100s. They can get you set on a path that you might never need to meet with a coach again, or you meet with a coach 3 times in your life. That's a couple $100, and
Yeah.
you are going to learn so much about either increasing your income or saving or investing. So there's a time when it's worth putting whatever money you invest, you're going to get back tenfold in those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you share one success story, a non-name, success story of somebody that you helped that revolutionized their life and their finances?
Yeah, I can talk about one of my most recent clients. She came to me and wanted to talk about her finances and wanted to get it all organized. And we truly covered it all. She had some debt. She wanted to access her old retirement accounts. She's running her own business, but also thinking about adding in an employment position. We talked about money mindset. We created a budget for her because she didn't have a budget. So we really went through it all. And then I think the best thing that I see in clients and like this client is once we lay out a plan, I just see their shoulders drop. And it's this feeling of, oh, okay. So once we're done with this coaching session, I'll pay this much a month of my debt. I know what my budgeting expenses are. I know that in this month, I won't have a lot coming in, but the next month I will. I applied for this job and got this offer. I'm able to pull out my old retirement account and put part of it towards my debt. It's just, there's so many solutions now. And then that person can just go on and, leave that behind.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it, I think, is leaving things behind, leaving old money mindsets behind, leaving the fear, what I call the triplets, fear, doubt, and unbelief.
Yeah.
Leave those at the door because they are constantly knocking, trying to knock down the door and make themselves comfortable. And it's just like, no, I'm on a new path now. You do not belong here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say, and we'll kind of wrap this up, is what would you say are the top three pieces of advice that you give to your clients that would be really helpful for people watching this?
Hmm. I think number one, most people do not know what their monthly expenses are. So most people do not have a budget. So if that's you, start with your budget. It's such a powerful piece because once you have a plan, then you can know where you can pull strings. If you can save a little bit, move some money around. So create a budget either in a spreadsheet or on a piece of paper and know your monthly expenses like the back of your hand. I'd say that's number one. Number two, I think when it comes to creating more income, everyone wants to make more money. The key to making money is providing a lot of value. And this is something that I think is overlooked. We teach people how to fill out a resume and apply to jobs, but we're missing that deeper connection to you need to be providing massive value to a company. Or if you want to run your own business, you need to provide massive value to your clients. And the more you can provide unique, customized expertise and value to someone, the more they're going to pay you for that. So if you want to get promoted, if you want to start your own business, really dive deep and think about how you can provide value. And then the third thing I'd say is investing is key. It is the simplest way to multiply every single dollar. On average, if you invest in the stock market, you'll see about 10% growth on your money every single year. It's the key to building wealth. You cannot save your way to multiplying your money. Start investing young. Invest. I used to invest $25 a month. Start small, but make it a habit.
Wow, wow. And I don't think people realize that you can start at $25 a month. And when I had a previous role as an HR assistant, and I would have new 20-year-old employees come to start working, and
Yeah.
I would highly encourage them, but most of them did not see the value of, like, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. Not seeing the big picture of, yeah, but if you do this when you're 40 or 50, you'll be a millionaire.
Yeah.
And they didn't see that big picture. They only saw, I can't afford this right now. But
Yep.
you know, yeah,
It's
it's,
so hard. And again, that's why I always circle back to mindset and vision first, because
yes.
yeah, it will not feel good to set aside money in your retirement account for 30 years that you could go shop with. It will not feel good. But if you know what you're working towards, that deeper sense of why and that vision is going to cause you every single month to say, you know what, I'm going to do this anyway. I'm committed to this. And then the older you get, you are going to thank yourself so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I wish I would have had that path. But it's never, I'm sure you tell your mature clients that it's never too late. As long as you're
Yeah.
breathing, you can make a plan. And I think a lot of people like, oh, I can't do without Netflix. I can't do without my nails twice a month. I can't do without. And I say, yeah, you can. I have my bills whittled down to five, including my rent. Five a
Oh, I
month.
love it.
Yeah, I knew you would. But I don't buy, I don't have a bunch of subscriptions out there that are 2.99, 5.99, 10.99. I
Yep.
whittle them all down. And do I live like a miser? No, I don't. I watch Amazon Prime, the free version, which is plenty on there. And I
Mm-hmm.
just, so five bills a month. So I think a lot of women think, I could never do without that
Yeah.
thing. What, yeah. Do you tell them basically the same thing? Like, yeah, you can. And because I can imagine you don't go like, and you're going to,
Yeah.
like a commandant. You just give them the option.
I am not, so, the Dave Ramsey approach is you should not be buying Starbucks or going out if you have debt. You should be massively attacking your debt. That's not my philosophy. I think you
Yeah.
should be attacking your debt, saving and investing, but enjoy yourself. But one of the best tips, this has personally been what I have done to spend less, because my monthly expenses are also very low.
Mhm.
Fall in love with things that are free. The
Yes.
psychology research shows us that the things that actually make us happy are it's work that we care about or having purpose, having strong social relationships, and enjoying the simple things in life, like cooking a meal, listening to music, stretching, going on a hike. So the more I think we live in a consumer society, we think we need to spend to be happy. There are so many other things that you can do that will bring fulfillment. And if you can do those things that are free, it's going to make the money you do spend so much sweeter because it's hopefully aligned with your values and your whole life is really fulfilled rather than getting that dopamine hit from going and spending money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wholeheartedly agree with you because I think the Ramsey way, it works for millions of people, and that's their system. But I align with what you're saying as far as I'm not, I mean, I cook for myself and I cook grand meals for myself and
Yeah.
I eat well, but my birthday's coming up in November. I'm going to go spend over $100 on a Ruth's Chris steak dinner
Hmm.
for my birthday.
Yeah.
I'm I'm not I don't want to cook for myself on my birthday night.
Yeah.
So treat yourself along the way. It doesn't have to be big old steak dinners. That just is a special occasion thing. It could
Yep.
be, okay, I did this, so I'm gonna go get the $5 Starbucks or whatever they like.
Yep. Exactly. It's all about balance.
Balance, yes, yeah. If you're treating yourself to $100 steak dinner once a week and you're wondering why you're struggling,
Yeah.
that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you? How can they, if somebody has watched this or listened to it too and said, "Oh my gosh, I need her so bad. I need what she offers." How can they
Yeah.
connect with you and on social media, on your website, all that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I will say so I do free consultations because I truly do feel like before paying for financial services, you should see if someone's a good fit. So on my website, you can sign up directly with me to set up a free consultation. We meet for 30 minutes, talk through your finances, and see if I can offer some services. And so my website is www.money-essentials.com. I also on my homepage have so many free resources from stock market investing, real estate investing, budgeting. There's a ton of stuff there that you can download for free. And then I also have a newsletter where every Friday I send out 5 finance tips. They're either, a new budgeting app or an article online. So we have a newsletter sign up there as well. Yeah. So I'd say website's the best place to go. I have my social media links on there and it's just a one-stop shop.
That is wonderful. And I will include all those links in the show notes so
Awesome.
everybody will have those. And I'm going to go sign up for that newsletter, that weekly newsletter, because I don't think
Awesome.
I've done that yet. And
Yeah.
I just love the tools that you offer and that you have free tools if somebody wants to go in there and look at stuff. But then, it's always nice to have that one-on-one coaching approach
Yeah.
where they get to talk to you and you help them with their specific situation.
Yep, absolutely. I think we all have access to Google and all the tips online, and yet we're not all millionaires
Yeah.
saving everything. So it's more than information. You need to have someone who's supporting you, mentoring you, holding you accountable. It's just a different experience.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Any parting words before we go? Any words of wisdom you want to leave with women out there?
Mm, I would say know that you are capable then of more than you probably think you are. And I say that from experience. My gosh, I would never have imagined I'm doing the things I'm doing today. Keep believing in yourself, keep taking risks, and advocate for yourself for sure.
Love it. Annie, thank you. And before I say thank you, Annie did that with me. I had never heard of her. It's a big world, and she reached out to me and offered to do a guest blog, and then I said I would love to have you as a guest on my podcast. So we would have never crossed paths in a million
Yeah.
years if you had not
Yeah.
reached out. So I'm very thankful for that. So I had to mention that, but thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and your personal self and your personal story with everybody
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so glad I got to be here and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for watching another episode of Winning Proof Unscripted.